All right, welcome everybody to our May steering meeting. First thing I want to do is approve our minutes. I'll call on Chairman Reed.
Mr. Chairman, I've reviewed those minutes. They're on our iPad, and I would like to ask that they be approved.
All right, I got a motion. Do I got a second? Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, we don't have any public comments, so I'll announce 2 vacancies on the CCRC Board of Directors, 3-year terms, current terms to end July 2025. Announce 2 vacancies on the Linebaugh Library Board, 3-year term, current term ends June of 2025. Announce 3 vacancies on the Juvenile Detention Board of Commissioners, 2-year term, current terms to end August of 2025. We need to confirm Lorranie MacDonald as medical examiner, 5-year term, current term ends June 2025. Is Ms. MacDonald here? She is not? All right. Gentlemen, if we're going to confirm, then I need a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I so move.
So moved. Commissioner Reed, second. Commissioner Beverly. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Let's move on. Next, we need to confirm Jessica Schonfeld as Judicial Commissioner, 4-year term. Is she here? Come on up, ma'am. Let me try this again. Come on up and put that mic next to your, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Jessica Schonfeld. I was appointed in 2017. I work at the courthouse, and I'm just asking you to reappoint me for another 4-year term.
So you're already a Judicial Commissioner?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is there any questions?
I do.
It's your last chance.
I know.
All right. Motion to approve. Got a second? Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you, ma'am. Next, we need to confirm Amber Brown for the Planning Commission vacancy to fill retiring member's seat. Term expires August of 2025. Is Ms. Brown here? Come on up, Ms. Brown. You're welcome.
Hi, everyone. I have had the opportunity of getting to know many of you all throughout these years, but just to kind of share a little bit more about me, I am a lifelong resident here in Rutherford County. It has been about 6 years that I've been serving directly with the county on a couple different boards. So I've been a part of the Board of Zoning Appeals, which really directly aligns with this opportunity, as well as the Risk and Insurance Committee. So in my full-time job, I'm in HR and technology, where I am looking at strategic planning, as well as just the development of our technology. So just wanted to share that with you about myself. I'm excited about this opportunity and just truly would appreciate your vote in confidence, please.
Any questions? Thank you, Ms. Brown.
All right.
Motion to approve, second? Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, let's move on. Next is our lobbyist report, Will Denami. Oh, did I miss Brian? Sorry. Give me a second, Will. Next, we need to confirm Brian Gaither for the Rutherford County Emergency Communications District. Of course, Brian, come on up. Come on. Maybe some people don't know you on TV. All 30 of them. All 30 of them.
Brian Gaither, Rutherford County EMS Director, was approached about this vacancy a couple of weeks ago. And obviously on this board, we're all throughout the county, so I think it would be very beneficial for EMS voice on the committee.
All right. Any questions for Brian? Thank you, Brian. Have a motion. Got him. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, come on up, Will.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the steering committee. It's a pleasure to be with you here tonight. I'm here to give a report on since last month, and I want to kind of remember what we did, what we started off this year we were trying to accomplish, which was 4 different things. We were trying to accomplish the mineral severance tax, the sports wagering money, the lottery excess revenue, and the real estate transfer tax. Of course, the real estate transfer tax being by far the most consequential, and the real estate transfer tax is going to take some more work. So just like with our school facilities tax, which took a couple of years to get done, I anticipate this is going to take a little bit more time. We had a proposal to do a 3-year phase-in, which would have been 0 this first year. So 25-26 fiscal year would have been 0, 26-27, 25%, 27-28, 50%, which is what we're trying to get. We have a lot of support in the General Assembly, and what we heard from the leaders in the General Assembly was they would like for something of this significance to originate in the governor's budget. And so I think that's where we are, and I think that's what our goal is to get accomplished between now and January when they return, is to get the governor to actually put it in the governor's budget as a proposal. This is what happened with sports wagering, which we got done. We started off as a proposal, and the governor ended up enacting it or putting it in a bill during special session and getting it done. The the lottery excess funds, in case you haven't read or heard about in the paper lately, lottery was about 70 million short in the last fiscal year. There are different reasons for that. Some people think it's because of the sports wagering and the increase there. Lottery is going to move to an online platform, and they anticipate that the lottery revenues are going to increase. So they expect lottery to bounce back. So lottery looks like it's going to take a couple of years. In addition, the governor wants to propose an expansion of the scholarship for TCATs. So I think the lottery excess portion is going to take longer than the real estate transfer portion. If the lottery excess portion looks like the sports wagering came in at $25 per pupil. We have 52,000 pupils, so a little over a million, 1.3 million. So we're a couple of years away, I think, on lottery excess. Real estate transfer is, hopefully we can get phased in next year and still be on our 3-year phase-in. The last one was the mineral severance tax, which I think you've got a resolution. We're a little bit early, I think, maybe on the resolution, but we did get that in place. That comes with the schedule. So that schedule on mineral severance is over a 15-year period, so it'll go from 15 cents to 20 to 25 to 30 cents. So 2 of the 4 were enacted this year. 2 of the 4, we've got more work to do, Mr. Chairman. I'll answer any questions.
Any questions? Thank you, Will.
Thank you.
All right, next is our commission conference payment policy. This is where Commissioner had asked that we reimburse, and I don't know if he said reimburse, but pay for to any training or any meetings that are abroad that we pay as a county pay for it. I'm going to let Will talk about it because this resolution is very long and I don't want to read that, so I'll let Nick talk and then we'll talk about this after him. Go ahead, Nick.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this policy is crafted, it's pretty basic, but it allows for a commissioner to submit a request form application that would go, check, is that better? That would go through the steering committee, the budget committee, and then to the county commission for approval. The commissioner would list out anticipated travel expenses. This is for conferences and other trainings that are related to county commissioner business. And so they would submit that application and get approval on the front end. It would go to the budget committee, like I said, and then to the commission for approval. And the county finance department is somewhat involved in this in terms of receiving the forms, and also after the expenditures are made by the commissioner, submitting receipts and other proof that the expenses were incurred. It's currently set up for a reimbursement type of scheme. If that needs to be changed in terms of an advanced payment, I can make that change. I'll have to talk to the finance director, but typically with regular employees, it's done on a reimbursement basis, I believe, but that's an easy fix. The only other 2 things I'd note is that in here for lodging accommodations, that overnight lodging is not permitted unless the conference and training is outside of a 100-mile radius, and then air travel is not permitted unless the conference or function is outside a 300-mile radius. Most accommodations, food, mileage, and lodging would be based on GSA standardized rates, just like for regular governmental employees. And so I mentioned this to you, Mr. Chairman. I just completed this on Friday. It just got uploaded to SharePoint for you all to view for tonight. So if you need some more time to digest this, you don't have to make any motion tonight. This is just being presented for information, and we can take it up next month as a proper course of action as well.
All right. Is there any questions on this? Chairman Phillips?
Been thinking about this a little bit, Nick, I guess we would consider anything, even if it's national versus in the state. I'm not sure that from a national perspective how much we would, as a commission, would get. But in-state, I think would be much more beneficial and probably a lot less expensive. And I just wanted to throw that out there and see what the committee thought about that from a national perspective, to send a county commissioner to a national, some type of a meeting. I'm just not 100% sure what we could bring back with that, and I'm just wondering if anyone else thought that, should we restrict it to Tennessee versus United States?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Jeff, I would disagree that there are certain national conferences that a commissioner could gain a tremendous amount of information from, and then come back and share with either the committee on a committee level and then the full commission. I'm sure you're thinking of several on the law enforcement side. I'm thinking from my end, there are national stormwater conferences where city, county officials, engineers, public works folks from all over the country go and assemble for 3 or 4 days and talk stormwater, and you can get certain accreditations there as well. The municipal solid waste, the municipalities, the APWAs, things like that, they have big annual conferences, 2 or 3 days, where they talk nothing but trash for 3 or 4 days, and they all talk about what they're doing to solve the problems. That kind of information is fantastic to bring back to your local community and share. So I see more value on the national conferences than perhaps even some of the local, so that would be my 2 cents.
Yep.
Thank you. Good input. I maybe didn't think that all the way through, but I was just wondering if we're talking about national issues, what good would it be better that we focused on local Tennessee issues versus national issues?
Well,
but what you just said made a lot of sense.
Yeah,
Mark.
and for instance, those 2 I mentioned, the stormwater, those would be something typically like our county engineer and or staff would go to. The solid waste would be something that Bishop Wagner would go to, but I would also see that perhaps a chairman or vice chairman of a committee that's deep in that subject would also benefit from attending that kind of a thing.
Any more questions? Chairman McAdoo?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I agree that we do need to look at going national, because I can think of certain issues that came up in the past that national really helped us by having a commissioner there as a figure to talk to indirectly and whatnot. And the one I'm thinking of is Nissan, because it was a national adventure, and that we sent people to Vegas and different places just to discuss with them about coming to Rutherford County. And they met with us on a one-to-one basis before they even made up the mind that this was going to be the spot. And at that time, we was in competition with Atlanta at that time, Atlanta area of Fulton County. And by being able to lobby and talk on this friendly basis, I think what really put us over the hump getting it here. So I think we really do need to look at that national basis just based on industry coming into Rutherford County.
So if we look at national, if you read the resolution, we can reimburse them for plane tickets if it's over 300 miles. So we got that, and we also got hotels, which was a reasonable GSA figure, correct? So what about, and then also that includes mileage if they drive. So we can do two things. We can vote on this, to pass it through to, does it go through budget or does it go straight to the commission? Okay. So we can pass this to budget or we can defer it to another time. It's up to you. Commissioner McAdoo?
Thank you. Since we're going to discuss it, I think maybe instead of 300 miles, it should be 400 miles. And the reason I'm saying that, because Memphis could be right at 300 miles, and it's in the state of Tennessee, and up in Gatlinburg and up in that different areas, it may be 300 miles or whatever to drive, which is not bad. We do it all the time. So I was looking at maybe 400 miles on the flying.
Okay, so are you making a motion with that added to it?
Oh, I can amend it that we change it from 300 miles to 400 miles.
Nick?
Yeah, I was going to say, if the body wants to make additional changes, you can give that to me now, and I could just put them in here. We could bring it back next month, or we can do what Mr. McAdoo said, in addition to any other changes, and we can forward it along with these changes to the next committee, and we can do it this month. Either
Okay,
way.
Chairman Mack, you need to make a motion to change it to 400 miles.
I would like to make a motion that we change the air travel from 300 to 400 miles.
Okay, I got a motion. I got a second? Second? All those in favor say aye.
Hold on, well, I had a point, Mr. Chair. Keep in mind, moving it to 400 miles, that's from here to Chicago. It's 8 hours in good traffic going through Nashville, Louisville, Cincinnati or Indianapolis, and then Chicago.
One on the speaker. Here to Chicago is roughly around 500 miles.
I'm sorry,
Said 400.
I know, I might be speaking out of turn then. Let me make sure I've got that.
The only reason I know, I stayed up there for 20-some years, so we drove it from the old 41, the interstate. We drove it through St. Louis. We went every route you possibly can, and it was greater than 400 miles. Right. I know that.
It's 501, but my point is, we're talking an hour and a half difference. My point being is we have numerous gridlock cities above us. If we do make this 400 miles, we might have to anticipate, with the timing of these conferences, paying for another night of hotels. So if you're paying for another night of hotels in a larger city, what's going to be less expensive? You know, letting them fly or paying for another night? Just something to think about.
Any other discussion?
I have one point too, Nick. One thing too that's going to be a bugaboo about these is a lot of these conferences, whether they're state or national, they typically will announce a room, they'll have a room block for hotels, and those will fill up fast. My concern is, you know, once an individual finds out about the conference and then fills out the form and it goes through steering, budget, full commission for approval, your room block may be filled and you may be stuck with a higher rate room if there's rooms available at the hotel left. So if there's a way to streamline that, or if I guess if the commissioner or person has the means, can go ahead and reserve the room, hope that it's refundable, or just assume that it's going to be approved, and you just get reimbursed that way. But just know that that could be a real problem.
It does say that that in lodging, when traveling to a conference or seminar hosted at a hotel, a higher reimbursement rate may be allowed, that the commissioner can stay at the hotel hosting the conference or seminar. So if it's booked, yes, I think that it should be, because you never know what's going to happen on that. I agree. So, Nick, is that something we got to do a motion on as well?
There's been no other changes beside the 400 miles, so if you all are ready to pass this on, then you just make a motion to pass it on as amended.
Okay. Well, I got a motion. I need a second. We got a second? Okay, you got a second. All right.
I did have one. What led you to pick 300 miles?
Honestly,
Randomness?
yeah,
Okay.
just looking at the size of the state, and I don't remember if I saw it in some other state policy or something, but that it wasn't, it's somewhat arbitrary, but I thought it was reasonable, but
Okay.
400's just fine as well.
Okay. You were right, though. It was 500 miles, 501.
All right, we're on the 400 miles. So we got a second, and we got a motion and a second. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, now we're going to vote on the motion to send it to budget.
Mr. Chairman, could I comment?
Yes.
Thank you. Nick, is that what this process says? Is that it would have to go through steering, budget, and to be approved?
Currently, that's what it says. I'll read from number 1. It says, where did I put this? So the commissioner must request in writing using this form to the county finance director within 10 days prior to the steering committee where the request will be presented. Such form must contain all information requested on said form. Conference payment requests must be approved by the steering committee, budget committee, and the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners prior to expenditure. And that just, I think the process was, the thinking behind that was we do that for any other expenditure when there's a budget amendment or other unique request that comes in, it would go through those bodies, and it seemed like starting in steering, because you're dealing with different affairs, legislative, governmental stuff, then going to budget to get the stamp of the fiscal approval, and then going to the commission for final approval.
So in essence, it would take 2 weeks to get it approved, steering on Monday, budget on Thursday, and then the following Thursday night, full commission.
That's correct.
Okay.
Now, it does say in here, though, that the request needs to be made 10 days before the steering committee meeting, so it can go to the finance. It starts in the finance director, and then it would come to here. So if you want to shorten that time frame, we could do that, too. You could shorten it to where it's to the county finance department 5 days before the steering committee meeting. That shaves off 5 days. I don't know if that would help. You want to do that?
All right.
For the reason I stated.
Okay.
So we need to do a motion to change it from 10 to 5 days before steering.
Motion to, Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to change it from 10 to 5 days before steering and forward this recommendation to the Budget Committee.
Do I have a second? Got a second.
Would 5 days, would 5 days get it on the agenda?
Yes. The agenda goes out approximately 5 days before the meeting, but it's routinely updated and amended, so if the request comes in, that shouldn't be a problem.
Okay.
I think it'd be fine.
All right. We got a motion, we got a second. Go ahead, Nick.
Is the concern, like, if a conference is announced, you're trying to make sure you can get to that conference or something?
Typically, they'll announce a room block, they'll hold so many rooms, and those go fast. And if we have to go through 3 committees to get an approval, you could be at a point where you actually cost the county money by having to delay to get a room.
Yeah, so 2 things I'll add. 1, 5 days is totally fine. I think really as long as I had it Thursday before the Monday, we could try to look at it and make sure the fiscal note. I think 5 days guarantees that we'll have time However, obviously, we'll do. The other option, and I'm throwing this out there, is if, and we talked a little bit about this, the other option is you put some type of shortened approval process for conferences or trips that are under a certain dollar amount, if that is a concern. However, I'll say routinely for both the county and at the state level, what you just mentioned is always a concern and does happen from time to time, and it could cost us a little more. And so the only way around that I know is to allow a pre-approval under a certain dollar amount from the finance office or something like that, and then you would have to pre-budget at the beginning of the year, a certain travel expense. We had talked about that, but we were trying to draft a policy where it didn't put maybe all the ownership on, let's say, me or Nick to approve a commission trip that maybe we didn't know what the will of the full body was. Did I summarize that up? But 5 days is totally fine. I think you could even do up to the Thursday before. That would just be pushing it in case somebody was off or something like that.
All right, we got a motion. I done forgot what the motion is. What was the motion? Move it from 10 to 5 days. All right, so we got a motion and we got a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, now we're back to the main motion. Jonathan? No, okay. Now we're back to the main motion. Do we want to send this to budget? It's up to y'all. Do we have a motion? I need a motion to send this to the budget.
Mr. Chairman, I think you're good. Part of Mr. Beverly's motion included sending it.
Oh, did
so
it?
You're good.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Let's move on. Next is discuss the lobbyist contract renewal.
Mr. Chairman, before we move on, let me say something,
Cool.
if I could. We've spent this time on this pertaining to national conferences and anything out of state or whatever. We've got 4 forms here from the fill out and of the travel. We've got commissioners here that for years have been attending a regional TCAST meeting where we meet with other commissioners from our area right here to discuss and learn issues that's happening right here in the fall. We attend these meetings, or have been attending these meetings in Chapel Hill, over there at the park. One afternoon, one night. That's all. We don't spend the night. We go over there, and that's it. Last year, it was moved to Lewisburg at the Walking Horse Center. You know how many commissioners from here went? 2. I know this is important, but I think it's important that we get our commissioners rerouted to start attending these regional meetings because they're quite important. Because it lets you see what everybody else around us is involved in, and they get a chance to hear what we're involved in. And I know Commissioner McAdoo, he's probably has the greatest attendance record of anybody we've got that's been there. And I think it's important and vital. I know Commissioner Johnson's been to those meetings, and it's time we get back and start being a part of those meetings right there. And I'm just bringing this up as something, as a memo that come fall, when that announcement comes out, that we urge our commissioners to attend those meetings. It's not a whole lot out of their schedule, and it's something I think they'll benefit from.
Sir.
Chairman, Commissioner Reed is 100% correct that we do need to get started back and attending these local regional meetings, because we would attend these meetings, and then when we need issues or we were trying to pass resolutions or what to the state or whatever, all we had to do was look at our counterparts around us and they will support us 100%. And that's because we go over and we meet with them. And I agree with him 100%, and it should be fully, it should be publicized, or each commissioner should receive a notice, not just a general, the meeting is August or whatever. They should receive a notice just like we receive a notice for a meeting that these are going on, and we definitely 100% need to attend them.
Well, what we can do is the month before this comes up, then Commissioner Reed or Commissioner McAdoo, you can announce it during steering, and then at the full commission, I will announce it through the steering report.
We will, and I just want to tell you, I was one of those two that went, and it's very embarrassing to have more people from Lincoln County there than Rutherford County, and I think this next time we're going to have to do better.
Sure.
Mr. Chairman, there's probably been a I don't mean to say a lack of communication, but it has been a lack of communication, and we've probably not communicated those meetings the way we have in the past. As a matter of fact, that meeting came up on me before I even knew that it was there, and my calendar was conflicted. So we need to do a better job, and we need to figure out who gets noticed when those meetings are calendared, so that we can communicate it better. If you'll allow me as your chairman, I'll investigate that, and we'll be able to calendar those meetings and communicate them a little bit more effectively. I'm not sure who gets the notice. I didn't get a notice that it was going to happen. So if it would benefit. Yeah, but we probably ought to get that calendar, Pettis, and we ought to be able to do a better job in communicating what that calendar is to the commission. So, if you'll let me do a little investigation, maybe we can head that off. So I'll try to do a better job.
Okay. All right. First thing, I need to go back to mineral severance tax resolution. We are not ready for this. We need to hold this off till next month, so we will not be doing anything on that. Next is discuss the lobbyist contract renewal. Michael, can you come up here, please? Just for clarification for the committee. So the contract that we have with Will Denami is based on a budget. So what I'm saying is, do we renew this, or does this needs to go through budget as far as funding it or not funding it?
If you're just talking about the funding piece, it's funded through the end of this fiscal year up and through June 30th. So we're under contract with Will's firm through the June 30th. However, that section of the budget where that's funded out of will be on the 13th, May 13th. I believe should be next Tuesday, I believe. That section is there for the funding for next fiscal year starting July 1.
Okay, so his contract's up in June, so we would be able to have a new contract with him or have a contract with someone else?
That would be up to this body, I believe, does the approval of the steering committee. It's come before them, and then the budget will choose whether to fund that or not.
Thank you.
So both would need approval, I think, from both steering and the budget, both.
Okay. All right, the lobbyist contract's coming up, you heard, in June. I think there's a lot of problems that I have with this contract, and I'll explain to you. I don't think Will actually knows who he's supposed to report to. And I think Will should report to us. Mayor Carr thinks he should report to him. So I think we have been with Will for 2.5 years, and we've kind of a little bit been in excess of over 200,000. Some can say that they want a lobbyist, some say they don't want a lobbyist. As for me personally, I think we need a lobbyist at our size. But also, after 2.5 years, I would also like to know what this committee thinks of maybe looking at another lobbyist or open it up for an RFP, which Will can apply for that as well. But I think we need to change some of the wording on this, because if I want to do something and the mayor doesn't like what I want to do, then what does Will do? And I don't think he knows that. At least I don't know if he does or not. I'm just assuming, because I feel like there were some things that I wanted to, was going into a meeting. I asked Will for some information. He didn't return my call, he didn't return it again, and then he sent an email out to all y'all. Now, my problem with that is I was having a meeting with the delegation, and I needed to know what was going on. Now, to point that out to you, there was 3 things that Mayor Carr put out in an email giving Will a credit for it. One of them was, and this did not come from Will, this came from Mayor Carr. So one of them was language in a contract with pause. Nothing wrong with that, but we never heard anything about that. Second thing is $2,000 bonus to teachers. We're all for that, but it's also part of a voucher bill, which our school board was against, and some commissioners. Didn't know nothing about that. I'm talking about myself. I can't, if he talked to y'all personally, I have no idea of that. The other thing is Representative Stevens passed a, where we don't have to do special census and get revenues based on 1 year population. Now, that went through, I didn't know nothing about. So those are things that are, help our county very much. So I think that we have a communication problem. I also think that there's other lobbyists out there that might just get a sense of what we can do. We don't know. We've had the same lobbyist for 2.5 years, and I'm not saying good or bad. I want to know if we need to go back to an RP and just simply change some of the language and have better communication as to who will or any lobbyist reports to, and have more input. I don't think the communication's there. Y'all might disagree with me, but anyway, this is open for discussion. So go ahead, Chairman McAdoo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We may try to straighten up on the communication, but as far as that forensic center, I couldn't have made it without Will, basically. I couldn't have. Will's expertise on that is tremendous, and I'll tell you why. Hamilton County had a forensic center, and they wanted to build another one, and it was $12 million. And the lobbyists that spearheaded that were Will. Will got the expertise and knowledge and people to go to try to get some money for our forensic center. As far as the expenditure that we're going to spend on him for the next year, for his expertise, will definitely be worth it, because he is known on the Hill for having that expertise. Now, if you ask me, I'm on the Hill occasionally, and I talk and discuss things with our delegation, and I discuss with our people, and I knew about Stephen's proposal, and knew about Mike's or whatever, but Will is going to be very important to us for the next year, I know. And whatever we do, we can go and straighten up the communication in his contract or whatever, who we report to. I could care less on that, but we need that expertise, and he's got it.
Can you remind me what exactly he did for the forensic center? I don't remember. I'm not trying to be, I don't know, what did he do?
Well, for our forensic center, he outlined the process that need to be taken that I use to present the facts. And I was scheduled to go to Hamilton County, I think, for a tour of their forensic center. But I do know that he headed up in getting Hamilton County their new forensic center with $12 million? I believe it was $12 million that was given to them by the state. So therefore, his knowledge of who to go to and how to lobby that through was very important to Hamilton County. Now, I'm saying that we need that expertise that he have on forensic centers for the next year. And that's my input from knowing it personally, from working on the forensic center here.
Mr. Chair, I can appreciate that, and I can see where the value came through. But let's talk a little bit about what some other areas of purchasing are looking at right now. And I think this is maybe something we all could follow. You know, we have a vendor, or I'm sorry, we partner with someone. The county doesn't utilize any money through that for tracking our domestic violence offenders. And we had someone we were using. The judge had recommended them. There was an RFP put out. The proposal or bid came in. Purchasing decided to go with someone. That's that, or a different company. Same thing with mortuary transport. What I'm looking for is let's take away the involved parties and look at what we want the process to look like. And maybe an RFP should be what we're looking for because it gives us perspective to what other companies are looking for, so then we can engage in some type of debate and potentially hedge our blind spots by saying, okay, this was addressed in one proposal but not the other. How can we counter back and forth to make sure the county is getting the best deal possible? And in that same time, I would almost issue a challenge to ourselves is let's look at what our legislative priorities are as individual commissioners, what we would like to potentially see done, see how we line up as a group, and then compare that to the proposals that we're seeing to pick the best candidate based on all of that. We're covering our blind spots, we're generating a plan forward of what we want to do, and then we can fine tune it from there. But guys, we rebid our insurance every year. I rebid my insurance every year, and I sometimes stick with the same person. There's nothing wrong with that, but it covers our blind spots, and I don't think that's a bad idea proceeding forward, is to making sure we're covering our bases with the RFPs from different folks, and then we move forward on the path we think is best.
Mr. Chairman, well, as far as insurance, I'm on the insurance committee. We look at that contract. We don't look at it every year, but it's 2 or 3 years out. The only thing I'm saying is that we're looking at his contract, which is nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with making adjustments to the contract. But I'm just telling you what expertise we are going to need with this forensic center. That's all I'm telling you. If you want to cancel a contract, kick it out the window, throw $12 million proposal or any state money out, that's fine with me. But just look at it for what it's worth. I got to bring it up about his expertise because he helped me. I don't know what he's doing with the other commissioners, but he definitely helped me on that project. And I can't sit here, and that man is back there, and just sit here and say nothing because he helped me. I'm going to bring it out. You can do what you want to. It doesn't make me no difference. But I'm going to bring out the facts as long as I'm a commissioner up here. And that man really helped me.
Well, the question is, Chairman McAdoo, do you have any reason to believe that someone else wouldn't help you? Or do you have any reason to believe that he's the only lobbyist he's just the only lobbyist? Do you not believe that some of us commissioners believe that there could be other ones out there that could be more effective? We have stuck with Will for 2.5 years, so it's not like we're just, kicking him.
Do I believe it's others out there? I'm just going by his track record, not only Hamilton County, Knox County, Shelby, and all the forensic centers in the state of Tennessee. His knowledge, he's got the knowledge. Now, as far as other lobbyists that had the knowledge out there, I didn't see it, but maybe it's there.
Okay.
But I saw the knowledge from him.
Mr. Reed?
Mr. Chairman, if you'll excuse me, I'll stand up. My brain seems to go to sleep when I sit down. But when you say that there are those who would rather do without a lobbyist and those who would rather, and those that want a lobbyist, it makes me think too, it's really strange this evening driving in here, and I saw this on here, in May of 1974, I began with the Tennessee Farm Bureau as a very green young man starting out. I had my new wife, and Farm Bureau had hired me and sent me to the Upper Cumberland and Appalachia area to work with farmers. on agricultural issues. Not a lobbyist, but as somewhat of the same thing as dealing with those ag issues and working under the direction of a lobbyist and individuals down to the legislature on certain things that would affect some of those things. And I still remember of that May 1974, the #1 song of that time was "Hello Country Bumpkin, House of Frost Out on the Pumpkin." And it couldn't have fit any better then, it couldn't do any better now. Because I was green as they got right then. But I began at the very bottom. I began going to farmers' houses, presidents of farm bureaus, and at that time we had what was called corn cob rollers. Because in front of every barn was a stack of corn cobs, and you'd talk to the farmer and he'd stand there and roll one, and I'd stand there and roll one, and we'd talk to issues in agriculture and in politics. And then during the fair time, I would end up racing politicians to the next fairgrounds to get there first and talk about the issues that affected those counties. I'll never forget one Saturday racing Al Gore Jr. from fairgrounds to fairgrounds. See who would get there first. He was running for his first congressional seat. But because of a lobbyist who saw some work I did up there, I was moved to Columbia. And for the next 40 years, I worked back and forth on things that dealt with the legislature, and I worked among individuals who were lobbyists, those who were legislators, those who were senators, several speakers of the House and things. I saw all of these things. And what I'm saying is that when we start thinking about do we need a lobbyist or not need a lobbyist, my #1 point here is in that field down there, you better have somebody down there who knows what's going on, because you'll get eaten alive. And a lobbyist is going to be the important thing that you have. They know what's happening. We are now a county with almost 400,000 people. We have a budget that's almost $1 billion. We have more programs than just about any business around here or industry around here. So we have so much involved. We have 5 representatives, 2 senators, and they're limited what time they have involved. They're working too. So we need somebody there. Now, I think what you said a little earlier on is probably where we are, is the communication. Who do we communicate with? You want to know? The mayor wants to know, and we all want to know. And I think somewhere the language does need changing, sir. Something needs changing here where we understand this. Because what we've got right now, we have a lobbyist that's sitting right in the middle of all of this. What does he do? Who does he tell? What does he say? Because if you're a lobbyist down there, everything's health right here. I may be wrong, but what I've watched down there, I've seen some good ones. And you don't tell everybody everything. And that's where we are right now. So what I'm saying is that we take another look at where we are and what we do, and we straighten that out right here. Who knows what's going on? And then we look at our contract and how it's done. Or if we decide, hey, we want to put this out and put the portfolio out on bids, do so. But we do, what I'm saying, gentlemen, is that we do need a lobbyist in this day of legislation. And it's just vital. Because I spent my time with an organization that had anywhere from 1 to 3 to 4. And still you had problems keeping up and getting what you want. I'm just saying that we need to hang in there and get the best for people of Rutherford County.
Yeah, I agree. I think we need a lobbyist. My question is, I look at it as 2 ways here. One, the reason that I'm bringing this up to you all now is because we're going through budget next week. And this is one of the things that's going to be brought up to fund So I believe that we should open it up to another RFP with different language. I do agree with the lobbyist. I have no problem. I think we do need a lobbyist. Or you could send this to budget saying that you want to agree with the contract that's already in place, except change and amend the communication on who he reports to, how he reports, or anything like that. Because it's really ambiguous right now. Because there's things that I want to do that Mayor Carr disagrees with. What do we do? And vice versa, and vice versa. So all I think is we've seen this mayor has not communicated with us all the time. That's a known fact. Everybody in here knows that. And we have a communication problem, and sometimes Will's doing things that I don't even know is going on, just like Paul's, just like Robert Stevens' bills, all those things right there that I could have used that information on. Do I think Will's a good lobbyist? Yeah. I'm not dogging him out in that area. What I am upset about is the contract, not the person. So, go ahead, Mr. Beverly.
I'm a little different there. Take away the people. Take away the people involved and look at the situation. We have a pilot of a plane and we're on a layover. We have the opportunity to check for maintenance right now. An RFP is going to check our blind spots, make sure we're taking the best path forward, gives us a little time to regroup on what our legislative priorities are in conjunction with the mayor, and make sure we're moving forward together as one. But at the most important part of this is an RFP allows us to tell everybody, we turned over every rock before we wrote a check. We can tell everyone everything because it's discussed at the well. Me, an RFP is a move towards transparency and maintaining that transparency. And for me, that's taking a pause when we have a chance to regroup after 2.5 years isn't a bad thing. Take away the people. It's just a pause to regroup.
Anybody else? Michael?
Well, I wasn't going to say anything because knowing in my voice is we've got a lot of skin in the game for the last 2.5 years. I think he's done a fantastic job. The RFP, we may get 1, may get 20, may get 0. School board sent out, or risk management, sent out an RFP relating to bus insurance. 0 came back. Nobody wanted to bid it. So if we do the RFP or not, the number one thing is communication. And it needs to be, if it's not in the contract, get it in the contract. And this committee, in my mind, will reports to and gets direction from. Now, some of you older folks may say, no, it's the mayor. The mayor doesn't run this county. Agreed? We do, as commissioners. So it's unfair to Will be in that position. It's a horrible position to be in. Because I don't know, Will and I don't want to play golf, go eat lunch and all that. But I know Will well enough where he wants to accommodate us. He also wants to accommodate the mayor. But for him to be in that position, I don't know if we put him there, the contract put him there, the mayor put him there, but he's got to report to either one group or one person and not the rest. Now, if it's us, then the mayor needs to be up here during our meetings to discuss what his thoughts are and what he wants with it, or however that gets worked out. But it's not fair to Will, and we're the ones that got this ball rolling, this committee, discussing it, contracts, who, and he went down the food chain, broke the food chain, and he got hired. I don't think we need lobbyists. We need one. There was a lot of people clapping when we finally hired one, because I think this county, before I came along, there were a lot of folks in the commission thought we needed a lobbyist. And we need lobbyists more now than ever. That's my nickel's worth.
Mr. Chair, you're correct. We do, and we know we're changing something. We know we're changing something, so let's just put it out for proposal, because my thoughts are, if we're changing something about Will's contract, whether it be addressing the communication, dollars, whatever we're looking at, we're going to have to negotiate and submit some type of proposal or counter proposal. Why not open it up for everybody? If we don't want to put it out for a proposal because we're afraid nobody's going to submit, well, how do we know he's even going to sign the contract? If he won't submit a proposal, why would he sign a contract? Or if he won't sign a contract, he's not going to submit a proposal, and vice versa. Just open it back up. It gives us some transparency. And it's all debated at the well. It's all out. You know, that's just me, because we're looking at even potentially amending a contract tonight and sending it over to budget. Is it just communication? Do we want clearer syntax? Do we want clearer clauses? That's a matter for debate, but we don't even have the contract before us. Sending it out for RFP solves all of that from the very beginning. And that's just me. I think he would submit. I think it's worth the discussion, and that's where I'm at.
Mr. Chairman, well, Commissioner Beverly hit the nail on the head. Now, we have not had a lobbyist in the past. Never had a lobbyist. So we were treading new grounds when we hired a lobbyist. So therefore, I knew the path we take with this new lobbyist that we never had in the past, we were going to have some flaws. Quite naturally. It's new ground. I'm saying that we need to straighten up the contract or look at it, or do whatever we want to do to make it better or whatever, because we knew that it was new ground. But I'm just telling you about the new ground that I'm working with this lobbyist. That's all I'm doing. I'm bringing it up. And I wouldn't be a commissioner. I wouldn't be right. It wouldn't be right for me not to bring it up. But as far as all this transparency and all this good stuff, we were traveling on new ground. So therefore, I knew, you should have known, that it wasn't going to be perfect, because we've never had a lobbyist before. So therefore, we can correct whatever we think is wrong and move forward.
Okay,
Mr. Chair,
go ahead.
you're exactly right. It's new ground, but man, I can think of a lot of things in my life that if I had the chance to do a second time, how I'd improve, and sometimes I don't always get that chance. And it's not a matter of, to me, it's not a matter of who. We're changing the contract. It's, do we want to negotiate directly within the contract, or or open it up for an RFP and negotiate through that avenue? And the RFP opens it up to more transparency. It opens it up to other proposals, which could be things we want to hodgepodge with our elected vendor. I just think that's the best way. So, Mr. Chair, I'm going to make a request, or do we need a vote on this now? I'm going to make a motion that we move it to an RFP, just so we can open it up for transparency's sake.
All right, I got a motion. Do we have a second? We got a second? All right, motion fails. Budget is going to be addressing this. I think we're making a mistake. If we're going to keep this contract with this lobbyist, then we need to rechange the language on this to better understand who reports, who he needs to set meetings up with, who calls he needs to take, and all that stuff right there. I think we're making a mistake if we don't send some type of recommendation to budget, because then budget will be faced with the fact of whether we fund it or not. And so I'm wanting to give budget an understanding of what we can look at. I will not vote for funding this unless there's some type of changes to how it's communicated and how it's set up. So anyway, is there a motion to amend this contract once it goes to budget? You can give him a recommendation on to whether you want to keep the lobbyist but amend the contract so that it's got better communication between the county commission and the mayor's office.
Yeah. Do I have the floor?
You got the floor?
Thank you, sir. I think we are mostly in agreement that we would like to see some language change for our benefit, the mayor's office benefit, and our lobbyist benefit as who is supposed to be carrying the water, right? I don't know what the current contract looks like. Do any of you know what the current contract looks like? And Nick, I don't know if you know who is Will supposed to, by law or by contract, is he supposed to report to us or to the mayor?
Yeah, it doesn't specify exactly who. The client's Rutherford County, right? So we know that much. It does
Which is pretty gray.
It does have in here a reporting provision that he shall provide written monthly reports to the steering committee and shall also appear at and provide verbal reports to the steering committee each month. So there is a reporting procedure, but in terms of authoritative direction, it is not specified with any detail within the current language of the agreement.
So if I was Will, I probably would have quit 6 months ago because we are plowing new ground. We have done the best we could the first time, but have realized between the mayor's office, the steering committee, and Will, we have boxed him into a situation that's almost a no-win for him because he's trying to please two commanders. Yeah, three. And that's a tough spot. So I would highly recommend that we look at the current contract. We make language very clear, plain and simple, black and white, as to what the expectations are from a reporting standpoint, from a communication standpoint, and on the paragraph of communications, I want to say this because Pettis is exactly right. Lobbying is a little bit like poker. You don't want to share all your information to just any old body being us, or body being the whole community, or body being the mayor's office. There are certain things that have to be kept a little bit quiet for a little amount of time until things develop. You follow me? So that comes with the expertise of a good qualified lobbyist, whoever he or she may be. So we've got to understand that latitude and give them a little bit of latitude, because there's certain things you got to hold close to the vest until things develop. So whoever they answer to has to understand that. So I would be happy to make a motion that we look at the current contract, amend the current contract in such a way that language makes it clear and concise as to what steps a lobbyist needs to follow from a reporting and communication standpoint. Maybe that's all I need to say. That make sense?
Make perfect sense, and I second it.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I guess I agree with you. That seems like maybe the path we should be looking at. Is it possible to send a recommendation to budget to appropriate those funds, and then it comes back to us for acceptance of the contract based on negotiated terms in June? Is that possible? Is that what you're thinking, maybe?
Are you saying, Jonathan, that we go ahead and reserve the funds for a lobbyist for the next calendar year, regardless of who it may be? Is that what you're?
No, I would say, Mike, your motion would make a recommendation that we renegotiate the contract before funding for the next budget year. So steering is giving a recommendation to budget. Now, budget can wipe this thing out if they want to, but we're saying before you fund, we recommend that before you fund this for next year, we rechange and amend the contract as written.
I'm a little confused on that.
Just
Go
real
ahead.
quick, consulting with the finance director here, based on everything I've heard tonight and what he's heard tonight, here would be the recommendation is simply do a motion to amend the contract based on what you have said here tonight. I can work with Mr. Denami and seeing we come up with some language. We can bring the contract back at next month's steering committee meeting, assuming that this body then is in agreement with the proposed new language. The finance director says that there should be time to bring it back through the budget committee process after the next steering committee meeting for approval. So I don't think we need to do anything with budget tonight.
So, Michael, I believe we are addressing this, not this Thursday, but the next Thursday, am I correct?
So you're addressing the mayor's budget next Tuesday, which is where this is budgeted. So I'll give you kind of two options, which is going to piggyback off of what the county attorney just said. You could pull this next Tuesday and readdress this specific item as late as June 18th, meaning you could pull it out next Tuesday the 13th and then add it back in on June 17th or 18th after steering sees the revised contract. You could do it that way, which is kind of what you said. You could pull the money out and add it back in on the 17th or 18th, or you could leave it in there on the 13th, and you could revisit it all the way up to the 18th at budget. But I think this gives the direction to budget of what to do next Tuesday is what I heard, while Nick, or the county attorney, works on the contract.
So we can either, budget can pull the money and add it later, or put it in there now and take it out if they don't change the contract. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. All right, so Mike, we got a motion, we got a second. So does everybody need me to repeat the motion?
Please do.
All right, the motion is that subject to budgeting this item, we ask to amend the contract, and I think I got it right. We are amending the contract before funding, and to change the words of the contract and have more specifications put in there, which will be going through the steering committee next month. So I will meet with, I will be in touch with every one of y'all. Every one of y'all need to let me know if y'all have any questions or any concerns. I will negotiate with Nick and then the mayor, and then we'll come up and Will Denami, and come up with some idea how this can be better ran than what it is right now. Is there any objections to that?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I would like for each member of this committee to get a copy of the original contract that we have now. So therefore, they can be looking at it, or each one of us can be looking at it, and we may see things that we not even bringing up tonight, that we could go ahead and do our homework and be ready for the next meeting.
Nick, can you get a copy of that contract to the steering committee?
Most certainly.
Thank you. Yeah, if you got any questions, I mean, just call me and let me know, and then if I have to call a special meeting on this, I will do that.
Can I?
Yes, sir.
Let me just do a what if. What if we go ahead and say in this rewrite that the lobbyist reports to the steering committee?
You can do that.
And then part of the communication process is that the steering chair and the mayor and the lobbyists meet twice a month, once a week, and communicate. That way, all three are on board. But ultimately, this committee, well, I guess ultimately it'd be full commission, but this commission, or this committee, ultimately is where Will reports and raises his hand. Does that make any
Biggest problem,
sense? Does that make any sense? Or does that have merit? I'm looking for,
I'd say yes. I'd say yes to that part, but I also see your point of, we don't know what else might be on there we want to change, and so never hurts to get a copy of it, and I think that could probably be handled in June as well. We could accomplish what Commissioner McAdoo's speaking of, and accomplish what you were speaking of in June, all at the same time.
okay, so let's try this. Mike, you have a motion right now. So you want to add to that motion to where Will reports to the steering committee? Yes. Okay. So the motion is for us to negotiate a contract, come up with new guidelines on the contract for the lobbyists. I'll work with Nick and Mayor and Will Denami, and we'll try to come up with some things to present to y'all. The county attorney, will send to every one of the members a copy of the contract that we have as is. If you have any questions, let me know. I will set that meeting up with Nick and all the parties, and we'll come back here in June and discuss it. But as for, I'm wanting to make sure that the budget knows that before they fund this, that the steering committee has recommendations. So Mike is recommending to budget to continue this contract with changes.
yes. And the only thing I think I want to change is, I think I want to say that Will reports to the full commission, but in reality, his first line of contact would be steering committee.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Well, steering's overall legislative affairs, so it would go through us to be
Right.
recommended to the county commission.
Right, but
Yeah.
I guess the point I'm trying to make is, full commission is his point of contact, not the mayor's office.
Yes. And, we got to be able to have some type of wording in there to where we can work with the mayor. If the mayor wants to have something on his agenda that he wants to do, then we need to be in the same line, just like if I want to do something or you guys wanted to advocate for something, then we're in the same line. And we're not fighting with each other. So I got a motion, I got a second. Is there any more discussion? All right, the roll call.
Commissioner Beverly,
Yes.
Commissioner McAdoo, Commissioner Rather,
Yes.
Commissioner Cush, Commissioner Johnson, Commissioner Reed,
Yes.
Chairman Harris.
Yes.
Thank y'all.
Nick, let's get together on this, and Michael, on how to present this to budget. Thank you. All right, let's move on. Next is our HR report. Ms. Stephenson? Jeff, I don't know who did these microphones, but they are loud.
Have you reviewed? We're done. No, I'm just kidding.
We got a motion to approve a report.
I won't go into the nitty-gritty because you guys this is out there on the SharePoint, so if you want to look over it. The biggest items that we had for the month of March, and again, this is a month behind, was the audits we are continuing to do with our online and paperless. So we did, for the audit section, we had 1,593 audits. Also for the leave category, we had 209 different events, which is another large activity in the department. I'm trying to get to the leave so I can tell you which. The majority of those are going to be in FMLA, and then we're also continuing to see, don't tell me I didn't put that section in here. I apologize. Y'all made me nervous, tell me I only had 3 minutes. So for FMLA, we had 143, and again, our military leave continues to increase. We've got 40 in the month of March, which was up by 10 from the month of February. So those continue to grow for us. The other is the onboarding and offboarding, activities for our new hires, with the primary category being making sure that we set their salaries correctly, and then also processing all of the new hire paperwork. Under the recruitment activities, we had 1,524 recruitment activities for the month, and we received 563 applications. We sent 110 declination notices, 121 interviews. We did 132 social media posts to try to do for recruitment and retention. And those are the larger items that we processed during that month. For the next items under special reports, the largest thing being our open records requests, we had 190 during the month. We also had 218 requests for Title VI, which is primarily for languages for our court processes, but also we're seeing a huge uptick in the utilization of our, a few years ago I did a grant for virtual interpretation and telephonic, and we're seeing a huge increase in probation, recovery court, utilizing those services for their clients, and then also a lot in the building codes department. So we had 218 for the month of those. Under special projects, the primary focus was on budgets. There's been lots of requests for different things for the budgets, whether it be from commissioners or the department heads, the mayor himself, or others, and so a lot of those activities were related to that. Testing is primarily for our new hire testing, although we do have our fire physicals and random drug screens, reasonable suspicion, and those type activities, but the primarily was for new hires. Under Title VI, this shows that we had the 240 languages that we provided for the courts. These were, for the courts, we had 218 in Spanish, 8 in Arabic, and then the others were just other different languages throughout. Under the last category, which was training, we had 23 employees trained under business ethics, drug-free workplace, school patrol training. We did sexual harassment. We trained 621 employees with Title VI and ADA. We had a leadership group, 12 employees that went through a leadership group, and then we just have various other activities relates to training. So that is the end of my snapshot report. The next item that you should have in your packet would be the number of job postings that we have for the month of March, and it also shows what positions were posted, how many applications we had received, and how many employees have been hired from those job postings. The additional item that you should have in your packet is the full-time vacancies. These tells us as of May 3rd, 2025, what departments have vacancies and the titles of those vacancies as well. And that concludes that portion of my report. Do I continue on with the records, or do you report my report first? Okay. The last thing on the agenda for HR was an amended and restated public records policy. Every 2 years, we have to submit our policy to the Open Records Council, and this was submitted, and they approved our policy as written on April 8th, 2025. The main thing was there was some language change in here, but the primary thing was on the very, I guess it would be the very last page, and that's the primary item that was added, is the failure to pay for records requested or payment is rescinded. And this is just putting something in there that gives the county the ability to go out and try to recoup those funds that are actually due to the county for public records requests, because some of the records requests can be quite lofty, and it takes multiple departments, redacting, hours and hours of work, and then sometimes when those individuals request them, they don't either they pay for them or they don't pay for them, and then they rescind the money. So just want to make sure that that's not happening, and that's the primary change for this policy.
So we need to vote on that for the public records policy. So what we're doing is we're putting these records that Sonya just explained to us, and we need to vote to include that. So do I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the report and accept the policy change, and I hope whoever is backlogged, however many they be, we reach out to them and we start that process.
Thank you.
I got a second? Second. All those in favor say aye. Opposed?
Okay, thank
All
you.
right, thank you, Sonya. Yes.
Sonya, help me with some math and understanding. On the job posting, for instance, Sheriff's Department, there's 5 postings there.
Yes.
Okay. Now, if you go to vacancies and you go to Sheriff's Office, there's like 15 number per location. Is that 15 vacancies? Is that what that means?
Yes, sir. So in the sheriff's office, under the sheriff's office, they have 15 vacancies. And you don't make a posting based on the vacancy, you make a posting based on the position title. And so if you see that they have a couple of Communications 1 positions available, we will post to Communications 1, accept applications, and they hope to hire within that posting.
Okay, so forget the sheriff's office for a minute.
Okay.
If you have an office that has 4 or has 0 postings, okay? Their number is 0 for postings.
Okay.
But yet, like right above that, property assessor, they show they have 4 vacancies per the location, but 0 postings. What are they really saying there?
Either they are making a choice not to post those positions and leave them vacant for whatever reasons. It could be budgetary, it could be they change their processes in their office and don't feel like they need to use the position, or it could be that they had not requested a posting through our office. Our constitutional officers don't have to utilize HR to do their job postings. They can do that internally within their office or by other means. We would like for them to use us, obviously, but that doesn't always happen.
So, to the layman like me, does that say, hey, there's 4 empty desks in that office, but they're not choosing to fill?
They've been vacant for a while, yes. I mean, I think you can see I always put the date the position became vacant, and you can see.
Yeah, some of them are mid-2024.
Yes, sir. And like I said, it could be a budgetary thing. You know, it could be that they were allotted so much in their line item for salaries. I mean, typically when we request.
They don't have the money in the budget to hire for.
Well, I wouldn't say that, because this body gives them money in their budget to fill their vacant positions. So they've utilized that money in a different way, possibly.
So you can't post a job and try to hire somebody unless that job has already been funded in the budget.
Right. And these positions have been funded.
Good.
If they weren't funded, they wouldn't be on here. They would either be eliminated. So when the commission doesn't fund a position, it's then eliminated from the budget. So these positions were budgeted in the last budget year, and there was money appropriated by this body for those positions. But for whatever, I can't speak for Mr. Mitchell, I don't know, but I'm just telling you that you did appropriate money for these positions.
Okay. Okay.
Is it, Mr. Chair, if it's possible, let's say our court clerk decided she has 8 positions, and she decides, I'm going to take the funding for that 8, but divide it between 6 people equally. She technically has 2 openings, but she's exhausted the funds, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. I just want to make sure I was understanding that correctly.
I was saying, yeah, it could be used for other ways.
And they're free because they're constitutional officers to do that. we can allot them the money, but they can do with it what they please.
Right. You give them, we always call it buckets. I don't know if Lisa Nolan started that or who, but you give them a bucket of money for their salaries, and they get to implement that bucket the way they choose.
Okay, help me understand. So what Commissioner Beverly just said is, if you allot me, what'd you use, EMS? What'd you?
I just said court, I picked a court clerk.
Okay, so
This only works for constitutional officers because everybody else under the mayor's budget the position is funded to the penny.
okay, well, so the assessor is a constitutional officer.
Correct.
So, we'll pick on him. The 4 positions that are budgeted, he can take those 4 units of pay and divide that amongst 2 people then?
Correct. So you could say, let's just use it for simple math. There's 5, you've got 4 positions. There's 5, we're going to say there's 5 people.
Yeah.
And you give money, we'll just say a number of $40,000. You give $40,000 for those 5 positions, that's $200,000. He can take that $200,000 and disperse it amongst those 5 people however he chooses.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. There's a lot of things that don't make sense, but this makes sense. All right, thank you.
We have no control over that. We
You
just
have-
give him the bucket, right?
Once you give him the bucket, it's his to spend it as he chooses.
Any constitutional officer.
Correct.
Thank you.
In turn,
I shouldn't say any constitutional officer. Let's wait a minute. If they're not a fee office, any fee office, and he's not a fee office, so let me back that up because that wasn't a true statement. So any fee office such as circuit court clerks, county clerk, register of deeds, trustees, county clerk who receives money, they receive revenues to offset their costs for operating their office, and then that's where the extra revenues come into our budget to help offset the cost for doing other things. So a fee office has that authority. Mr. Mitchell's a little bit different because the state legislature actually put in code that he has that authority. It's not exactly the same for the sheriff's office because he's under our pay structure and it falls a little bit differently.
so let me play devil's advocate, if I may. So he's got 4 open positions, and there's been money funded by the commission for those 4 positions. He's chosen not to fill those. If he comes back during next year's budget, or if he opines and says, hey, I can't do my job because I need more people, we say, what are you talking about? We've appropriated, you have 4 open positions, and we've appropriated for that. What are you talking about? Right? There's something missing there. Okay, enough, thank you.
It doesn't make sense to add positions when you don't fill the ones you already have. Is that what you're saying? Yeah. All right. All right. I love Mike.
I can't remember. Am I excused or? Okay.
You're excused. All right. Commissioners, on your iPads, you have a litigation list. Is there any questions? All right. Is there any other business? You're adjourned.